In this how-to, I'm going to show you how to create a landing practice for any runway you want. I'm going to use Sedona because pretty much everybody's familiar with the runway at Sedona if you've ever done any of the training flights. And this is a little overboard, but it's just to show you what you can do. What I've done is put a push pin every 2,000 feet. This is the threshold of the runway. We've got our 1,000-foot radius turned on, so this is 1,000 feet to the push pin. So the glide slope for that first push pin is 4,940 feet, with the runway elevation being 4,800. If you imagine you're looking from the end of the runway, 1,000 feet, even with the runway, you need to know what your altitude is, right? Can we tilt this? Yeah, so it looks kind of like this. So here's where your first push pin is. What is my altitude at 1,000 feet from the threshold of the runway? Well, the glide slope is 3 degrees. So for your PAPI lights and the commercial aircraft, you use a 3-degree glide slope. So 3 degrees from the threshold of the runway to right above our push pin should give us our altitude. So if you use a little high school math, so if I open a spreadsheet, in this case Google Sheets, and let's just say we want 1,000 feet times the tangent of the angle that we know, 3 degrees is our glide slope. So that's all you have to remember. Or you can go look it up. There's calculators online, I'm sure. But it's 1,000 feet on the ground with a 3-degree glide slope. If I look straight up, my magic push pin should be 142.54 feet above my head. And that's actually pretty easy to remember in feet because it's approximately 150 feet in altitude for every 1,000 feet away from the runway that you get. This one's already set up. You can use it as an example. I'm going to fly just the glide slope. Now you could pull these push pins around and do a left hand or a right hand approach as well, but I did it straight in because it'll be easier to show on the video. I'm going to spawn out here to give me time to turn off my autopilot, set my throttle, set my flaps, get on a stable descent, and then the lap timer is going to pick me up at each one of these waypoints. If I'm above the altitude, it's not going to pick me up. I'll show you after I fly it. If I'm above any of these altitudes on my glide slope, it won't record that waypoint for me. Let's go ahead and fly it. I've loaded myself at 6,000 feet. The first waypoint on the glide slope is at 6,083, so I'm already below it. So as long as I just turn off my autopilot, maintain level flight, and get myself on the runway heading, I should pass underneath this first push pin. Here, let me zoom in a lot closer since these are going to come by pretty quick. I think I'm going to turn my radiuses off, but these are 1,000-foot radius, so it's 2,000 feet between each push pin. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that Flight Simulator measures from the bottom of your wheels what your altitude is. Presumably there's an envelope around the aircraft so it knows when you crash. So I think it's measuring the altitude from the bottom of your wheels. You could actually bump these altitudes down by about 8 feet or 6 feet to put the threshold at the top of your aircraft instead of the bottom. One other thing I should point out before we start, let's turn our radiuses off also because I don't need those. That was just to show you how far they were apart. But I do need the lap timer so it'll trigger each waypoint as I fly near it. Now for racing, you would typically use normal or pro mode where you've got a dynamic radius around the push pin based on your speed, but we're going to be moving so slowly that it's going to be a really tiny, like 50-foot radius to hit each waypoint. So what I've done is I've set it to be 500 feet. So I can be 500 feet to either side of the waypoint. You can tweak that down. That's a local setting that's not stored with the flight plan. So you can set it to whatever you want to set it to, or you can fly it normal or pro or whatever you want to do. For something like this, you're not trying to prove anything going around a course. You just want to track your altitudes, really. So 500 feet to either side of the push pin is probably too much, but it's enough that it won't pick me up until I'm 500 feet away from this waypoint, which also means I can be to either side of it and it'll still pick me up. And for this one, it's probably a good idea to just set your throttle somewhere in the middle for when you turn off your autopilot and start trying to slow down. And we have 2 miles, well, I have 1 mile now, to sort of get under control. I want to set my flaps. I want to slow down to about 85. I'm going way too fast. And as I cross my push pin, you can see it's on glide slope 01. I've already crossed glide slope 2. I'm on the 3rd PAPI light, but that's still plenty low enough. I don't know what the range is on the PAPI lights. Maybe from 3 to 6 degrees or something like that. I need to be down and have my nose wheel down. I was kind of late on that. So it picked up runway 1, and then there's actually 2 points. There's another point at the center of the runway, which is right here, that it'll pick up as runway 2. And then if you want to go around, reset your flaps, and you need to be at 150 feet or under by the end of the runway, and it'll count your lap. And then you could just go around to the other side and start again if you want to practice. But before we do that, let's take a look at the report. If I go back into the main screen and open my lap times, I hit all of the waypoints. So I was underneath all of these altitudes. Otherwise, it would have missed, and I'll stay too high this time. Now, this is giving me the times between them, which are a bit irrelevant for my purposes. But let's go back in, and I'll show you what happens if you're too high. Also, I found at the east end of the canyon here, there's this V-shaped peak over here that is easy to spot. And if you fly through it, which you don't have to fly through it, but I mean, if you fly over it or around it, it puts you basically right back on the glide slope that we have defined. And I've gone to about 6,000 and I'm at about 95 knots. There's my runway. So this is a good time to get on course. You can see our start waypoint, the point we spawned at, is coming up again. And instead of putting myself on the glide slope, I'm just gonna hold 6,000 for the first few, and then I'll hurry up and get down. We'll see what happens. It's now started us at glide slope 1. And see, I just flew over glide slope 3 and it didn't record me, and there's no chance of getting on 4. It looks like the aiming points in game are actually down here, but that's okay. I hit that point and then I'm not going out and around again. You can see now I've missed glide slope 3 through 5 while I was way too high, and then I got down onto the runway. So that's a straight in approach. If you wanted to make this a right or a left-hand approach, you could just take the existing waypoints, move them around. If you start at the end of the runway, what you could do is turn your radius back on. As long as you keep your radius touching, your distance will still be accurate between the waypoints. And now you just want to bring your spawn point over here somewhere. And then if I want to spawn here, just tell it yes to spawn me in that position, and then tell it you don't want to be on the ground, you want to be in flight cruise. And now you could save this as a left-hand approach. So now you could do the same thing at, say, I think it's like the 6th or 7th leg of the French bush trip. There's sort of a nasty little grass runway. I did the same thing. I just took the runway altitude. I had to actually find the contour lines, convert it from meters, which you could switch between meters and feet. You know, I just entered the correct meters and then I switched back to feet. But then these are also 2,000 feet apart. with essentially the same 150 foot for every 1,000 feet. So 150 feet of rise for every 1,000 feet between the push pins. Now this one I didn't include a go around because, yeah, if you don't make this, you're going to crash anyway. We can go ahead and try this one. And notice our lap times are gone because this is a whole new flight plan. We'll be starting over with new lap times. If you want to save them, you could actually create a race. See our other videos in the how-to playlist on creating races. We're spawned in flight where we asked for. I'm probably not gonna successfully make this, but I'll show you anyway. I think I'm already way too low in this case. That might be okay. Whoa! I don't think we need that waypoint. Alright, well that qualifies as survival anyway. And I hit basically none of the glide slope. But you see the concept. Good luck with this one. Both of these will be up on the website, available to download at simflightplan.com/download. They're free to download and fly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe.